EduVerse PD Podcast, brought to you by ProEd Education Solutions, your on-the-go professional development. Hello, and welcome to another inspiring episode of the EduVerse PD Podcast, the world's first education podcast hosted by AI. Today, our dynamic AI co-hosts, Andy and Liz, are exploring a truly uplifting topic, how happiness can transform both teaching and learning. They'll be unpacking insights from the article Joyful Teaching, Joyful Learning, The Happiness Contagion by Khouloud Seghira Benkaidia, featured in EduVerse Newsletter, Issue 19. Get ready to discover how spreading joy in your classroom can make all the difference for you and your students. Let's hand it over to Andy and Liz to get the conversation started.
Welcome back to the EduVerse PD podcast series. I'm Andy, and I'm really excited to be diving into a topic that's close to my heart today, and that's teacher happiness.
And I'm Liz, and I think even better than just happiness, joy.
Ooh, yes, joy.
That's what we're looking for.
Exactly, and we're taking a deep dive into this article, Joyful Teaching, Joyful Learning, The Happiness Contagion, and you're going to be amazed by what we uncover.
We're going to have some fun with this.
We are going to have fun with this one, Liz. But before we jump in, let me quickly introduce the author, Khouloud Seghira Benkaidia. Now, she's got this incredible trifecta going on. She's a PhD student in applied linguistics and a K-12 online teacher and a researcher focusing on the link between language learning and cognitive skills. Talk about being in the trenches and getting a 360 view of education.
Yeah, she's got a lot going on.
She does. She does.
And you can tell from her writing.
Absolutely.
That she really is in it, you know?
Yes.
And it's not just theoretical for her.
Yeah. And it comes through in this article. Okay, so let's get to the heart of it. This idea of a happiness contagion. We all know that emotions can be contagious, right? But I was blown away by the research that Benkaidia highlights in this article. It turns out that teacher happiness can actually spread through a classroom, boosting student motivation and engagement.
Yeah, and I think, what's really fascinating to me is that it's not just about teachers plastering on a smile. It's about genuine positive emotions and, even more importantly, how students perceive those emotions.
Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah, if they sense that it's fake, the effect is totally lost.
Wow.
Yeah.
That makes you think about those teachers we've all had. The ones who just radiate enthusiasm. You can just tell they love what they're doing, and it totally changes the atmosphere of the class. But how do we make sure our happiness is perceived as genuine, especially on those days when we might not be feeling it?
That's the question, isn't it?
It is. It's a big one.
Because, let's face it, we all have those days. Right, where we're dragging ourselves out of bed.
Absolutely.
And we're thinking, I don't know if I can do this again.
Another day.
Another day, another lesson plan.
Yeah, but that's where I think this article gets really interesting, because it's not about pretending to be happy, but about cultivating genuine well-being. And that's where the PERMA model comes in.
Yeah.
This is like this framework for a more holistic approach to happiness.
It's a roadmap.
It is roadmap.
Yeah, it really is.
Okay. So the PERMA model was developed by the psychologist Martin Seligman, and it's this framework for understanding and building not just happiness, but genuine flourishing.
Like thriving.
Thriving, yeah.
Just like really being the best you can be.
Yeah, and it's got these 5 core pillars: positive emotion, engagement, relationships, meaning, and accomplishment.
This is a good model. You can apply this to any part of your life.
Really, to any part. It makes me want to go back and look at all the areas of my life.
I know, me too.
Okay, so let's break down each pillar. I think positive emotion, that's pretty straightforward, right?
I mean, on the surface...
On the surface.
Yeah. Yeah, it seems simple.
It's about experiencing those feel-good emotions like joy, gratitude, serenity, and hope.
Yeah.
Sounds great, but as a teacher, I know those aren't always the dominant emotions on a Monday morning.
You hit the nail on the head there.
Just get through the day.
Yeah, but the research shows that cultivating these positive emotions is really crucial for teacher resilience and motivation, especially when we're facing challenges. And remember that emotional contagion we were talking about? Well, a teacher experiencing genuine positive emotions sets such a powerful tone for the whole classroom.
Oh, I bet.
Yeah.
So it's not about denying the tough stuff,
right,
but about actively seeking out and amplifying those positive moments.
Totally.
Okay, I like that. Okay, let's move on to engagement. This was about being totally absorbed in what you're doing, finding that flow state. Have you ever experienced that when you're teaching, Liz?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. It's that sweet spot where You're so present and you're challenged but not overwhelmed, and time just kind of melts away.
Yes.
And the article really points out how important it is for both teachers and students to experience that.
But how do we create the conditions for flow? Is it about the types of activities we choose or the classroom environment, our mindset?
I think it's a little bit of all of that. Honestly,
Yeah.
the article does a good job going into some of those practical strategies, but one of the things that I took away was this idea of this balance of challenge and support for students.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
So finding that sweet spot where students are engaged but not frustrated?
Exactly. You don't want them to be bored, but you don't want to leave them behind.
Right. It's like that Goldilocks zone of learning.
That's a great way to put it.
Not too easy, not too hard, but just right. All right. What's next?
Okay, so the next pillar is relationships.
Okay.
And this one's probably not a big surprise, but Benkaidia really emphasizes how important positive, supportive relationships are for both teacher and student well-being.
I mean, we're social creatures, right?
Yeah.
Feeling connected is so fundamental to who we are.
Mm-hmm.
But I like that the article takes it a step further, and talks about how positive teacher-student relationships can actually create a sense of belonging and safety in the classroom.
Yes, and when students feel safe and they feel like they belong,
They can take risks.
exactly, they're more likely to take risks, ask questions, really engage in the learning.
That's huge.
Yeah,
It all comes back to that ripple effect,
it does.
right? Like teacher well-being influencing that whole classroom dynamic.
Yeah.
Okay.
On to meaning.
All right. Meaning this one is about feeling a sense of purpose,
Yeah.
connecting to something bigger than yourself.
For a lot of teachers, I think this comes naturally. There's a reason why so many people describe teaching as a calling. But how do we make sure that sense of purpose stays strong? Especially when we're facing burnout or disillusionment.
Yeah, that could be tough. And Benkaidia suggests, reflecting on your core values, why you chose this profession, and that can kind of reignite that sense of meaning. That's a good idea.
Yeah. And I think also connecting with students on a deeper level.
Oh, yeah.
Like really understanding their aspirations and how your work is contributing to their growth.
That's beautiful. It's a reminder that teaching isn't just about delivering content. It's about shaping lives.
Exactly. It's about those connections.
Yeah. Okay, last but not least, we have accomplishment.
All right. So accomplishment. This pillar focuses on achieving goals, striving for excellence, experiencing that sense of mastery, which can be a really powerful source of happiness.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
But I think it's important to define what accomplishment means in the context of teaching.
Yeah.
It's not just about test scores or checking off boxes in a curriculum.
No, it's so much more than that. And Benkaidia really highlights the importance of recognizing and celebrating even the small victories along the way.
I like that.
For ourselves and for our students, it's about acknowledging progress, effort, and growth.
So we've unpacked these 5 pillars of PERMA. I'm feeling inspired. But the question is, how do we translate this model into actionable strategies for cultivating teacher well-being?
Well, that's what we're going to get into. Benkaidia offers some really practical advice for teachers, schools, even policymakers. It's not just about individual effort. It's about creating a system that truly supports teacher happiness.
I'm ready for this. Let's do it.
I don't know about you, but I'm already feeling more energized just thinking about how we can intentionally cultivate joy in our teaching life.
Oh, me too. It's like a whole new perspective is opening up.
Yeah.
So how do we actually put this PERMA model into action? The article talks about this idea of teacher well-being being a shared responsibility. What does that look like?
Well, Benkaidia argues that it starts with teacher training programs.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah. Imagine if future teachers were equipped with these tools for managing stress, cultivating emotional intelligence, building resilience right from the start.
Oh, that would be amazing. It would be a game changer. I remember feeling so overwhelmed in my first year of teaching. And if I had had some of these skills, I think I would have navigated those challenges with a lot more grace and joy.
Oh, absolutely. And it's not just about equipping new teachers either, right? Schools and administrators have a huge role to play in creating these cultures that support teacher well-being.
So it's not just about, inspirational posters in the staff room.
Right.
We're talking about real systemic changes.
Yes.
What kind of changes are we talking about?
Well, think about things like manageable workloads.
Okay.
opportunities for professional development,
Yeah,
and supportive leadership that really values teacher input and well-being.
that makes a big difference.
Oh, these factors can make a world of difference in a teacher's experience.
This is where I think, we need to move beyond just talking about this and start advocating for these changes. Even if we're not in administrative roles, we can all speak up and push for a system that prioritizes teacher well-being.
Absolutely. Everyone in the education ecosystem has a role to play. But let's not forget about, individual teachers taking ownership of their own happiness, too.
Right? Self-care isn't selfish. It's essential.
It's essential.
But it can be so hard to prioritize when you're juggling lesson plans and grading and, everything else that comes with the job.
I know it's hard, but the article reminds us that even small, consistent actions can have a big impact.
Like what?
Well, it could be as simple as making sure you get enough sleep,
Okay.
incorporating more movement into your day, or just spending time in nature.
Those are good.
Yeah.
Benkaidia even mentions a study from Stanford that found that just mimicking a smile can increase happiness levels.
Oh, wow.
Something about that facial feedback loop,
Interesting.
tricking our brains into feeling good.
I love that.
Right. And there's another study that found that taking a walk, especially in nature, can significantly reduce stress and improve mood.
Yes. Walking is my go-to.
Me too. I'm a big believer in that one. A quick walk around the block can totally shift my perspective.
Totally.
And it's a good reminder that self-care doesn't have to be complicated or time-consuming.
No, it doesn't. And let's not forget the power of helping others, too.
Oh, that's a good one.
Benkaidia highlights how acts of kindness, big or small, can boost our own happiness.
It's like that saying, you get what you give.
Exactly.
And helping others creates that sense of connection and purpose, which can be such a powerful antidote to burnout.
Yeah, it really can. Okay, so we've talked about the importance of teacher well-being, how it's a shared responsibility. But I think let's kind of shift gears here and explore how we can bring more joy into the classroom itself.
Yes, this is where it gets really exciting because we're not just talking about happy teachers. We're talking about, happy classrooms filled with engaged and joyful learners. So what are some of the strategies Benkaidia suggests for that?
Well, one of the most powerful strategies is modeling enthusiasm and enjoyment.
Okay.
When teachers are genuinely passionate about their subject, it's contagious.
Oh, I've seen this firsthand.
Uh,
When I'm excited about a topic, my students can feel it. And they're more likely to get excited too. But how do we maintain that enthusiasm, especially when we're teaching the same material year after year?
That's a great question. I think it's about finding ways to renew our own curiosity and passion for the subject.
Yeah.
It could be connecting the material to current events,
Oh, that's a good one.
exploring new teaching methods, or even just taking the time to rediscover, what initially drew us to the topic in the first place.
I like that. Okay, what else can we do to create a joyful learning environment?
Well, Benkaidia emphasizes the importance of incorporating playfulness and humor into the classroom.
Okay, so we're not talking about turning into stand-up comedians here.
No. But just finding ways to inject a little bit of fun and lightheartedness into our teaching.
I love this. I found that even just small things like a funny anecdote related to the lesson or a quick game
Right?
can totally shift the energy in the classroom. It helps students relax and feel more comfortable, which is so important for learning.
Exactly. Laughter is such a powerful tool for reducing anxiety and creating a more positive and receptive learning environment. And it also helps build those strong teacher-student relationships, which is another key strategy that Benkaidia highlights.
We've talked about relationships throughout this whole deep dive,
We have.
but I think it's worth emphasizing again how crucial they are in the context of the classroom. When students feel seen and heard and valued by their teachers, it creates this sense of trust and safety that allows them to thrive.
Absolutely. It's about creating a classroom community where everyone feels like they belong.
Yeah.
And that sense of belonging can be so empowering for students.
Which brings us to the final strategy Benkaidia highlights,
Yes.
focusing on student success and empowerment. So how do we create a classroom where students feel empowered to take ownership of their learning?
Well, one way is to celebrate their achievements, big and small.
I love that.
It's about recognizing effort progress and those aha moments that make learning so rewarding. And it's also about giving students choices and opportunities for leadership.
I love that instead of being passive recipients of information. They become active participants in their learning journey.
Exactly.
And when they feel that sense of agency, it can be so motivating and joyful.
It can. And Benkaidia also suggests, highlighting the real-world relevance of what students are learning, helping them see how the skills they're developing can be applied in their lives outside the classroom.
That makes so much sense. Because when students can connect their learning to their own goals and interests, it gives their work a sense of purpose and meaning.
And speaking of meaning, I think that's a great segue into the next part of our deep dive. We're going to explore some specific activities that teachers can use to bring these strategies to life.
Ooh, I'm excited to hear about those. Benkaidia mentions a few really intriguing activities that I'm definitely going to try out in my own classroom.
Okay, well, one that really stood out to me was this activity called 3 Glimmers of the Day Week. And it's this simple but powerful way to cultivate gratitude.
All right, I'm intrigued. How does it work?
So at the end of class or the week, the teacher asks students to share 3 things they're grateful for. These little glimmers of positivity. And the key here is that the teacher models it first.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, sharing their own 3 glimmers.
I like that because it not only, gets students thinking about the good things in their lives, but it also shows them that even teachers have things they're grateful for.
Right. It makes it more relatable.
Yes, exactly. And it doesn't have to be anything profound, right?
No, not at all.
Like it could be as simple as, I'm grateful for the sunshine today.
Yeah.
Or I'm grateful for my friend who helped me with my homework.
Exactly.
It's those little moments of appreciation that can really shift our perspective.
Yeah, they can.
Okay, what's another activity?
Well, one that's really great for getting student feedback is called 2 Stars and a Wish.
Oh, I've heard of this one.
Yeah.
It's a nice way to kind of frame feedback in a positive light.
Exactly. Students identify 2 things they liked about the lesson. Those are the stars.
Okay.
And one thing that they would like to see changed or improved, which is the wish.
Makes sense.
Yeah. And it really encourages reflection, gives students a voice. And, when teachers actually implement those wishes, it shows students that their opinions are valued.
It's like a shared ownership of the learning process, right? Any others?
One more that I think is particularly fun and visually engaging is positivity posters.
Oh, okay. I can already picture this one.
Yeah.
Bright colors, inspiring quotes, all that good stuff.
Exactly. Students work together to create posters with positive messages, whether it's, inspirational quotes or poems or even just colorful designs that evoke a sense of joy and optimism.
And then these posters are displayed around the classroom. So it's like a constant visual reminder of positivity.
Right. It brightens up the environment and it serves as this great reminder of, the positive messages that they created together.
I love it, Liz. We've covered so much ground, from the science of happiness to practical strategies for cultivating joy in the classroom. So what are some key takeaways for our listeners?
Well, I think the biggest takeaway for me is that teacher happiness is not a luxury.
Right.
It's essential for effective teaching and student well-being.
And it's not something that just happens.
Yeah.
We have to be intentional about cultivating it, both in ourselves and in our classrooms.
Yes, and that cultivation happens on multiple levels.
Right.
Individual self-care, supportive school cultures, even those systemic changes within teacher training and education policy.
The PERMA model is such a practical framework for understanding and building well-being.
It is.
And the activities that we talked about, they offer these tangible ways to bring more joy into the classroom.
I think so, too. And I'd love to leave our listeners with a question to ponder. What's one small step you can take this week to either boost your own happiness or bring more joy to your classroom?
Thanks for joining us. We hope you found it helpful and inspiring.
And until next time, keep learning, keep growing, and keep spreading that happiness.
What a refreshing look at the power of joy in the classroom. Thank you, Andy and Liz, for highlighting how happiness can truly be contagious and elevate the learning experience for everyone involved. If you'd like to read Khouloud Seghira Benkaidia's full article, just head over to our website and download EduVerse Newsletter. Issue 19 at www.proed.com.vn/eduverse. And remember, EduVerse is here to amplify your voice too. If you have ideas, insights, or success stories to share, we invite you to submit an article. Thanks for listening, and we can't wait to welcome you back in our next episode of the EduVerse PD podcast, Brought to you by ProEd Education Solutions.